All right, welcome to another edition of Flip Through Friday. Now, some of you might know by now, I obviously got the D&D Players Handbook thanks to Mark Knights over at www.rpgknights.com. So thank you again. And this is going to be a Flip Through Friday. So if you want my initial thoughts, I did a video about that yesterday. So feel free to go look back at that video. But without further ado, let's get into the Player's Handbook, and now that I've read half the book, find out more of my thoughts. Now, obviously, this is a beautiful cover. Love the cover. Some people have complained that it's not D&D and doesn't really give off the vibe of a Player's Handbook, but I actually think it does. I think, these being the players obviously are fighting an epic battle, and you want your players to be epic a lot of the time, so I am completely fine with this. And I think it's beautiful. So, yeah. All right. So, Player's Handbook. Really cool piece of art. I've seen some of the other images for the other books with this same style. Love it. And you'll hear me saying that a lot probably through the book, but I love the art in this book. So, nice table of contents, very neatly organized. I've created a character, and I must say it was very easy to find everything I needed. So they start with a preface. Very good, well written. I enjoyed it. It gets the vibe of D&D going, and if you're new to the hobby, that's a good read, I think. Good read for me too, and I'm not new. So they go into the introduction and gives you some examples of play. Now I'll be honest. This is a lot right here for a DM to be saying. And in my games, I don't say that much information. I probably cut it down to about there. So about a third of that is what I would give the players most of the time. So, but yeah, they go a little bit over how the mechanics of the game work, which is kind of nice. Advantage, disadvantage, but a lot of terminology up front. Okay, tells you the basic structures of adventure, things like that. Very good stuff. Now, this is an awesome piece of art. I love this, and actually, this reminds me of my homebrew setting of a certain city there. So, love that. Love the dragon attacking them on the cliffside. Very good stuff. All the fire back here. It almost looks like the ground's, falling away like a sinkhole. But I can't really tell that well. But still, very cool piece of art. All right, so when you get to the chapter 1, it breaks down character creation in its steps, okay? You don't even have to read that if you don't want to. You can just jump to the very first step. So the very first step, obviously, choose a race. You can always jump to your race and you'll be fine. And the race thing will guide you through things. And then after you've done the race, once you see the second step is choose class, just jump to the class and it'll guide you right through it. So that's kind of how I did it. It says determine ability scores third. I actually do it up front first, so I know what classes I can play. And then once I've rolled all my attributes, then I add my racial bonuses and then go into the classes. So that's how I do it. So I almost feel like that should have been number 1. But, I understand why it's third, because you would choose your race and class first, and then you might shuffle your attributes around based on your class when you do this. So I could see why they would do that. Describe your character is step 4, which is like a lot of background information and stuff. Or actually, yeah, background information and stuff. So I liked that. And then equipment. I like that they give you quick equipment selection. So if you're choosing a certain class, they just go, all right, this is your equipment, or you can buy your equipment. I like that. Very, very nicely done. And I've kind of turned this into a review more than anything, I guess. But anyways, come together. So it's how your party came together. Very cool. Breakdown of the tiers of play and what it means to be first level. I know people in the brigade have done videos on what is first level to you. Now, you'll notice in this book, they recycle artwork from the starter set, which bothered me a little bit. This is one of the pictures I believe was in the starter set. There's a couple others in here that are from the starter set. It's whatever. It's just art. It doesn't have any relevance on the game itself. But I was a little disappointed because I feel like Wizards could have paid an artist to do a different piece of art. But anyways, goes into race, different racial things and what it means exactly. First is the dwarf. I love this dwarf. I don't know if they have a miniature for it in this new line of miniatures, but I love this dwarf. I think that is awesome for a female dwarf. But anyways, they start off every race with a description of kind of how the races are in general, which is kind of nice. Then it goes into the mechanics of it. So I like that, and they do that with all the races. They use Drizzt for the elves. So they use a drow as the main picture. I wish they didn't. I know he's very popular and probably the most popular character in D&D. Yet I still would not have used him for the elves right there. Because most people aren't going to be playing a drow elf. Alright, so then there's 3 different kinds of elves. You got the high elves, woodland elves, and the dark elves. And each type of elf gives you different things. So you go through the first part, so we'll use elf as the example. You get all elf traits, right? Then after you go through your elf traits, you go to your sub-race traits. So for instance, high elf gives you those and those. Then you go to wood. If you're a wood elf and not a high elf, you would just skip the high elf part, go to the wood elf, and boom, you would take those. So that's kind of cool. A lot of people have said they like this piece. I'm okay. I think it's all right. Not as impressed with that. Now, some people have complained about the halfling and gnome art. You can see very tiny feet, tiny legs, big, normal, human-looking upper body, and a head that's even more exaggerated. Whatever. So, anyways, same thing, basically. They just go into stuff about the race, and then, boom, the attributes for it. Humans, same thing. And humans have a lot of variety. And they break that down, I think it's based on different settings. They break down humans. So, for instance, Aluskan, Mulan, all these things, which, I guess that would depend on your setting. I could have went without that, personally. Now, one of the things about humans in this game, every ability score is increased by 1. I've heard people complain that that's game breaking. I don't think it is. In fact, a lot of the games I'm planning on running for D&D 5th edition that I've talked about with people, nobody's a human yet. So, is it game breaking? I don't think so. Especially when you take into account that other races get abilities like seeing in the dark, or, they get pluses to their woodworking or stonework, history checks, things like that. Just because a human gets a +1 to every attribute doesn't mean they get bonuses on all those attributes. Think about that. If they're at 17 strength and it goes up to 18, what did they gain? They didn't gain anything. No bonuses. So, I don't think it's as game-breaking as some say. That's all. Dragonborn. I like that this is included. Now, some people are saying, well, Dragonborn are supposed to be rare. I think it all comes down to setting. And if you have players that really want to play a Dragonborn, let them. Unless your setting doesn't allow it, I don't see the problem. So, anyways, yeah, it's a monster race. Should be rare. There should be bad guys like that. Things like that. But yeah, so I like that. Gnomes, I think the gnome artwork, especially right here, isn't as exaggerated as the halfling artwork. I like it. I think it's okay. If you're playing a gnome or a halfling, you kind of expect to be the butt of all jokes anyway. So, unless you have other gnomes and halflings in your party. So yeah, more gnome stuff. Good stuff there. Half-elves. Half-elves are kind of cool, I have to say. They get the charisma score increase of 2, but then they can increase 2 other ability scores by 1. That's kind of cool. Plus, they get other abilities like dark vision and things like that. So, half-elves, very cool. Especially if you're looking from a mechanics point of view. Half-orcs, same kind of deal. They get except it's not to any attribute or anything like that. They get +2 to their strength and +1 to their constitution. So that's pretty cool too. I think it's kind of cool, personally. Now, probably won't ever play a half-orc, but I could see why someone would. Tiefling, I've never played a Tiefling. I hear they're really popular. I don't know. Still, very cool. I like that they included a race that's supposedly popular. Now, classes. Now, in somebody else's video, which I'm going to do some responses to that in another place, they said, oh, they give you all this fluff about what a class is. There's no way to tell for a new player what a class is. Description. They used the Paladin as their example. Boom. A holy warrior bound to a sacred oath. It's all on the first page of classes, a breakdown for newbies, exactly what they are. For instance, Ranger. A warrior who uses martial prowess and nature magic to combat threats on the edges of civilization. Makes sense. Rogue, scoundrel who uses stealth and trickery to overcome obstacles and enemies. Sorcerer, spellcaster who draws on inherent magic from a gift or bloodline. Okay, well, what's the difference between a sorcerer and a warlock? A warlock, wielder of magic that is derived from a bargain with extraplanar entity. Wizard, a scholarly magic user capable of manipulating the structures of reality. Scholarly, book. Warlock, has some kind of pact. Sorcerer, gift or a bloodline. So, makes sense. They're all different. It explains the differences, I think, pretty well with just that quick little bit. Good stuff. So anyways, then it breaks down your barbarian, for example. Any other ones are like this too, where it gives you kind of a description of what it is. Some ways that this stuff is, a lot of the stuff at the beginning of the races and the classes, it breaks down almost how to role play it a little bit, which is kind of nice, you know. Then it gives, boom, the level progression, which is huge. The proficiency, awesome stuff there. So good stuff there. Tells you how to create a barbarian then. You can do a quick build for all classes and races. Well, not races, but classes. And, you know, if you just want to make one real quick, really nice feature. So anyways, goes into class features. Everything is very simple in this book. I feel like if I were to jump into a role-playing game, if I started with some games, like we'll use Pathfinder as an example, so many questions through character creation the first time I did it. Same thing with Palladium Fantasy. All sorts of games, I feel like, have that problem where you just don't... You have a lot of questions, and when you go into your first session to play, I was confused in a lot of those instances. And still to this day, some of them I have a lot of questions about. This game, I have no problems. I feel like I know how to use my character. I know how to create my character. It's just extremely simple. As for running a game, I still have some questions, but I probably have less questions about running this game than I have about creating a single character in other systems. So that tells you how simple this game is. So anyways, Bard, again, more breakdowns. Bard colleges, Cleric, and there's once you get to level 3, I believe it is, you can start taking your archetypes, which is pretty cool. So, anyways, boom, good stuff here. It's all cleric stuff still. But again, very good stuff. Druid, love that art. Another druid. Now when I saw this druid, I'll be honest, I thought of the druid from Pathfinder. You know, obviously it's not a gnome. Well, maybe it is a gnome. But it's a girl with a tiger. Very similar to the Pathfinder one, I thought. But either way, not really worried about it. Druid circles. Fighter. One of my favorite classes in any game. Yeah, I feel like with this edition, when I play in games, I'm going to try a lot of different things. Eldritch Knight at level 3 is pretty cool. So you could then I think I'm going to make it so players in my games can't dip a level in fighter as wizards or magic users. And my reason for that is if you want to be a magic user and fighter, go for the Eldritch Knight. But I don't know. We'll see. I am not worried about the brokenness of a wizard in armor like some have said. So just my own personal opinion. Monks. And in case you guys are wondering what I'm talking about, there's a lot of people have said, oh, well, because magic users can wear heavy armor, this game is broken. Well, they have to take something that makes them proficient in armor, heavy armor, in order to do that. Is that broken? I don't think so, because I think they're almost wasting a level that could be used for something else. So, just a personal opinion, like I said, but Paladin class looks pretty good in this game. During the playtest, I played a Paladin, and that was my first time ever playing a Paladin, and I enjoyed it. It was fun. Ranger. So, various things there. Now, I haven't read much past, I've skimmed through this whole book multiple times. I've read word for word up through some of these classes. I have not read this far, word for word. So, I've skimmed a lot of it, though. Rogue, very promising, again. I like how some races can hide behind other, size levels bigger than them, like halflings. I think that's pretty cool. Wild Magic Surge. Warlock. But I do like that feature that you can hide behind somebody else who's one size bigger than you. I think that's pretty cool. Eldritch Invocations. Wizard. I like that art too. And you don't see a lot of, I guess they're not African American in this, but black people in role-playing games. You see it in Pathfinder with the Paladin and stuff like that. But I feel like in fantasy role-playing games, I rarely see a black person in it. I don't know why that is. Or elves. If you see an elf that's not white, it's a drow. But you don't see other type of ethnicities in elves. This book says that they are like humans and they take on a lot of shades and colors and things like that. So I'll be interested in seeing if they add artwork in future books of elves that are not white and not drow. So I'll be interested in seeing that, if they do it. Again, people have talked about that, half elf, whatever. Personality and background stuff. I like this whole section. I like the alphabets that they give you. You could always write your own note using these things as a game master. So I think that's kind of cool. And then you can copy and paste this for your players. Make a copy of it if they speak that language and give it to them. So actually that would be kind of cool to get these made up on cardstock and various multiple ones for each one, and any character who speaks Draconic, for example, hand them each one of these. That would be kind of cool, I think. Just so if you ever have to give them a letter, put it on the table. I don't know, can you read it? So anyway, so backgrounds. One of the things, for instance, I made a dwarf cleric. His background is acolyte. This is pretty cool. You roll on these random tables to get your background information about your character. Really cool stuff through here. This is probably my longest flip through because I'm so excited. Look, DMG again. Look, Michael Mitchell. Just kidding. So, good stuff though. I'm trying to think of what else you guys would really want to hear. The equipment section, which I actually think going with the easy equipment first is kind of nice. And if anything, say you're a dwarf, you swap out a sword if it tells you have a sword for an axe or something. I think that's a good way to do it. It's nice and quick and simple. Not everybody likes quick and simple. So I know people like to personalize their characters, and I'm fine with that. I just think I'm pretty much always going to go with the quick build in this game. So. Adventuring gear. Now, something I heard mentioned was that there wasn't a bastard sword in this. I did not look at that yet. So let's look and see if there is. But all this equipment, tons of stuff, which is nice. You can buy a dice set, gaming set, all sorts of cool stuff. Will you use it often? Probably not, unless you have a gambler, but I still think it's cool you can go and buy dice. Food, services, so that's cool. Coach, cab, hireling, messenger. It's kind of nice they have that. Trinkets, love the trinkets table. Awesome there, what they did there. Love it. Customization options. Multi-classing, one of the first things they talk about. You do have a minimum requirement, okay? So that's always something to keep in mind. Proficiency bonus is based on your total character level. So that's interesting. Now, when you multi-class, so say you're a wizard and you want to multi-class and fighter, that's what you pick up proficiencies in. Light armor, medium armor, shields, simple weapons, martial weapons. Quite a bit right there. And that's what everyone's been referring to. But I don't think that's broken in any way, shape, or form, to be honest. What if you're a halfling lightfoot and you decide to be a rogue? Well, now you already have bonuses to sneak and stuff. Light armor, one skill from the class, skill list, and thieves' tools. So, I don't know. Anyways. But if you're something else, switching to sorcerer or wizard, you don't get anything. You can just use spells then. I think that's fine. Multi-class spellcaster spell slots. So you don't get what an automatic first level wizard gets. So it's not like you get everything at first level that a wizard gets when you multi-class into a wizard or vice versa. So basically when you switch to a wizard, you get for the first level of that 2 cantrips. Then for the second level of it, 3 cantrips. You have to be third level. Oh, I'm sorry, it doesn't say that. It says when you switch to first level, you get 2 first level spells. Didn't notice that. So I don't know how the cantrips work then when you switch over. I'll have to read it more. Like I said, I haven't read this part of the book. But I still am not concerned about, was this feats or something? Yeah, feats. Interesting. I'm going to have to read about that because I'd like to use feats eventually. I don't think I gave my character any feats. Anyways, but yeah, what was I saying? I don't think the game's broken. I think people need to get the idea that certain games break out of their heads. There are tools to tell a story. That's it. And are the tools here to create the type of character people want? Yes. A game master doesn't need to abide by the stats for a monster. So it's whatever. Players are restricted. They're forced to use whatever's in the rules. Game masters aren't. So if you're worried that wizard is using heavy armor, rust monster, there's all sorts of things you could do. A spell to use hot metal, or heat metal. So many different things you can do to negate those. So I don't think it's a big deal. People need to quit being big babies about it. And I think this is I'm not big into balance, and I am fine with something being overpowered. I'm a Palladium Books fan, so that's kind of just how it is. But especially for riffs, gosh, things are so out of whack. So I'm fine with people using various overpowered things. The thing I'll say is that this game, I don't feel like is way out of whack. You know what I mean? I feel like things are fairly balanced, and they aren't perfectly balanced. I think it's a really nice in-between, leaning more towards balance. So I think it's really nice, and I don't think any of my groups that I've played in recently would have a problem playing this game. Whether they'll play it or not, that's another question. But I think my groups would really enjoy this game, actually. So So this Flip Through Friday, like I said, has turned more into a review than anything, but obviously you're seeing all the pages. Lots of spells, like most RPGs. And I think they did a good job with scaling spells. For instance, you can take... for instance, I have Cure Wounds as my cleric at first level. And that'll scale. I can put that in a second level slot or a third level slot, things like that. So I really like that. And if I do it in certain level slots, it's more effective. You know, some spells don't necessarily change for that. But for instance, Cure Wounds right here. At higher levels, when you cast the spell using a spell slot of second level or higher, the healing increases by 1d8 for each slot level above first. So if I put it in my third level slot, it's 3d8. Awesome, right? That is amazing. Love it. Very smart use, I think. And then I can put it in whatever slots I want. So when I memorize my spells and do all I need to do for the day for praying to my gods or God, you know, it'll do good stuff there. So love this art right here. And what I've said before is I've seen this art before I bought this book. Well, I didn't buy the book, actually. Like I said, Mark Knights sent it to me. But I had seen this art in other people's videos, and it did not do it justice. You know, you really need to have the book in your hands to see how beautiful this work is. The book feels nice. It looks nice. Great stuff. Now, to be fair, I've heard that the binding in these books hasn't been that great. So, word of caution, be careful. I don't know if Wizards is going to do anything about that if you have a problem with it. If it's something you can just send to Wizards and they'll fix it, or get you a better quality book. Not sure, but that's interesting too. I like that. Is that Dancing Colors spell? I didn't even look. Prismatic Wall. Boom. That's pretty interesting. Very interesting. All right. So we're winding this down. Now I've seen that some people have created their own game DM screens. And I'm curious if anybody has tried others' DM screens, and if so, if you've tried various ones, post links to it below. I know some people, I've heard people actually say, oh, I want a DM screen, and it'd be nice if they had something downloadable right now, yada, yada, yada. So if you know of places to get them, post them in the comments below. It'll help other people looking for it. I saw one today, I think on the D&DNext Facebook group, where people used old CD cases because they like the low profile screens. So they used 2 old CD cases, and that was their DM screen. It was pretty cool, actually. I don't know if I'd want one that's only that tall, but maybe. You never know. So still very cool. So be sure to join the D&DNext Facebook page if you're interested in that. Go find that. But yeah, okay, so the appendix. Conditions. Gods of the multiverse. I love the amount of information you get about gods from each universe and stuff. Love that. Love this art. Fantasy historical pantheons. Again, that's cool too. So you could use realistic pantheons. So I like that. The planes of existence. A very quick summary of that. This little table here. Again, very cool. Negative plane, positive plane. So, very good stuff. Law, chaos. So you can go good, evil, lawful, chaotic. Good stuff right there. And I just really like that. And then you got creatures. Now, you could use some of these for your monsters, and you can use these for companions, familiars, all sorts of different things. So, I like that. Is this an imp? Yeah, I think that's the imp. Good stuff, man. Love it. So he has a little tiny monster manual back here, which is nice. So, skeleton. And then inspirational reading, which I like that they do that for people. I really like that. It's like, hey, Game Masters, read this. Character sheet in 3 sheets, 3 pages. Boom. Boom, boom. Now, I like that they do this. However, does anybody still make photocopies of the ones out of the actual book? I mean, with all the PDFs out there, is this really worthwhile? I'm just curious, because I have never made a copy out of my book, and I don't think I would want to, because I'd have to press it down. It's not going to come out right. But anyways, that's not even a gripe or anything. I just am wondering if people actually want that in the book or not. Personally, I don't care. I'd rather use a PDF character sheet. Breakdown of what's next. Now, it doesn't tell you release dates, which I kind of wish it did. For instance, it makes it sound like this is a sales pitch. Hey, I should go pick up the Monster Manual. It's not out yet. Oh, that's fine. Well, Dungeon Master's Guide is the ultimate tome of D&D lore. It includes magic items, optional rules, and guidelines for creating everything from a simple dungeon to an entire cosmos for your campaign. Okay, where can I pick it up? Oh, DungeonsandDragons.com. Okay, I'll go buy that. It's not out yet. So I kind of wish they put the release dates, or something. Obviously, they didn't, because in 4 months, the release date will be irrelevant. So, whatever. Still good stuff. Love the book. I think it's going to be an awesome game when I do finally play it. I don't think my Pathfinder group will want to switch. I'm not going to try and convince them to switch. But if somehow they do want to switch, then I guess we could always try and convert their characters over somehow. But again, I think it's probably just going to be something that when or if we ever end our Pathfinder campaign, maybe my group will want to play this. Maybe they'll want to start another Pathfinder campaign. I don't know. Don't worry, guys. Pathfinder campaign's not ending anytime soon. No plans for that. But yeah, so that's it. Hope you enjoyed this edition of Flip Through Fridays. This one was over a half hour long, more than most. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more D&DNext, or D&D 5th edition, or just D&D in general videos. Like I said, there's what I have coming down the pipeline for this is going to be kind of exciting for me. Sunday I'm going to be hosting a game for this, so if you guys can watch that, I would appreciate that. And on next week, I will probably do 2 video responses to Counter Monkey Spoony, his video about this. He did 2 hours on this book about how much he hates it. So I'm going to do not 2 hours, but I'm going to do 2 videos countering a lot of his points after I've read this fully. And I plan on giving you guys my thoughts more in depth. Probably similar to this video, but be more me talking about the things and trying to counter a lot of his points that I disagreed with. So, yeah, with that, hope you guys are looking forward to that, and I will see you guys next time. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share this video with all your friends, and yeah, have a great Labor Day weekend if you guys celebrate Labor Day weekend where you're at. Thank you. Bye.